Hey there friends, how's it going? David Potts with Song Notes here, and first video in a new series I'm doing called Learning Lead Guitar, where I'm going to share my progress in the process of actually learning lead guitar, getting decent at it. I've learned bits and pieces over the years, I've never broken through, and in this first video I want to share in the past year probably what's been the biggest thing that's helped me, and it has to do with this one riff that made me realize you don't have to be boxed in by these scale shapes, right? These are shapes that I totally understand the kind of idea behind, right? If I'm learning the D major pentatonic, for example, there's different positions on the fretboard I can play it. For example, I can play it here, right? All good, right? Okay, yeah, that's one way to play the pentatonic scale, and I can also play it here. But the problem is I practice those scales and it doesn't feel musical. I've never been able to connect the dots between those scales and something that like lights me up inside and makes me want to play more and is fun. And it allows me like to feel like I can improvise. When I'm playing within those scale boxes, I feel like I'm going up steps or down steps, and it's kind of hard just to get a sense of what you can do that is fun phrase-wise, you know, that makes for good music. And here is what changed everything for me. It has to do with this riff from the song 14 Gears by Midland, and it sort of sounds like this. And I looked up that riff, I was looking up how to play it, I got the tab for it, and I wanted to say, hey, what are the notes they're playing? And what blew my mind and really sort of started to open the doors of possibility to me is those notes are all coming from the D major pentatonic scale, and it's almost like they're just going down the scale and then back up. For example, here's the same riff staying within one chord shape. Now this does not sound as good, partially because I haven't practiced it as much, but partially because those slides you get are not there. So it's the same notes, but the riff, it's just more of a hollow shell. You also notice I had the buzzing of my guitar. That doesn't help. But here's that same riff with the slides. And I'm going to teach you this in a minute. Okay, so I'll teach you the riff, but moreover, the important part is not this specific riff. It's this idea that you can take a phrase. It can be anywhere in the fretboard, in any key, even in any scale, and you don't need to be boxed in by these rigid chord boxes. Use them as sort of markers, you know, like a map, but understand that you can shift between them. And you don't even need to know what these scales boxes are called or where they are and all that stuff. Just understand that wherever you are, you have the ability to sort of go kind of like up the strings. That's all in one shape. Or you can take the same notes right? Same notes versus this. My technique might not be great, but it's these slides which make it fun to play. I think it sounds better because you have this cool sort of transition which gives this sense of like getting swept away one way or the other. And it makes me realize that wherever I am, I can either go sort of, like I said, I can go up, or I can go over. Up, or over. Whether you're going sort of higher in pitch or lower in pitch, this possibility exists. So let me show you this exercise here. This one riff, it's basically, it goes down, then it goes back up. At the end of this video, I'm going to put on a backing track I made that helps you practice this. Basically, it feels more like a lead guitar properly thing. So I have the backing track and the Patreon PDF available. The link is in this post. My Patreon supporters, you already got the email with this, and you can find all the info you need over at playsongnotes.com. That's my official website. So let's check this out. You'll learn how to play this riff. Again, I'll show you the tabs and everything, then I'll show you how to practice this outside of this video. Put on the backing track, play over it, and you'll be feeling good. Okay, so the first of these riffs, this is the riff number 1, as I call it, is going from high to low. And when I say that, meaning high to low, and I mean low in pitch, right? So now you can play it like I just did here. You see the tab and you see the sort of fretboard stuff. What these colors on the fretboard represent are the sort of scale boxes. This first one, right? That green circle, Those are the 4 notes I'm playing in that position. But what's going to happen is I'm going to slide with my left ring finger from 11 to 9. And what that does is it moves me into this blue zone, right? I don't know what the official name for this would be. I could think about it and give you the formal thing. But the more important part here is that ring finger slide. And then that sets up my index finger to be on the 7th fret. So I'm not learning a full scale. I'm just learning those 6 notes, right? Coming from the blue zone. That's where we're going to be next, and then we do the same thing, and we're going to slide again from 9 to 7 on the 5th string on our ring finger, and again, that sort of moves us over to this new zone, and our index finger can end up on this bottom note, okay? So the whole first riff slowly, if you do the slide version. One more time. And notice how I'm using all index and ring finger, with the exception of the first 2 notes. That's the only time I'm using my middle or pinky, is those first 2 notes. But after that, it's all these 2 fingers. That makes it so much easier. I'm not having to do any pinky stretches, right? So that's the first riff. Now the second riff is going to go from low to high, and I mean that being like... Now, you could start in the same note, and you could stay within a single chord box if you wanted to. You only have to jump at the very end to get that 10th fret note. But, again, I think it sounds better. Right? We're going from 5, sliding from 7 to 9 on the 5th string. And then I like to do another slide from 7 to 9 on the 4th string. And then we're going to slide from 9 to 11. Put our middle finger on 10 on the 2nd string, and then just do 10 on the thinnest string. Okay, so that thinnest, or that riff starting on the low one. One more time. One technique thing I'm learning here is the importance of muting the strings with your right hand. So basically, in between all those phrases, I'm sort of letting go with my left hand and also using my right sort of palm to mute the strings. And if you compare that to me playing it down here, it sounds okay up there, but again, you don't get the slides, and I find it harder to mute. You also could play it up here in the 10th, 11th, and 12th fret. But again, when I'm in those single boxes, I feel more rigid. It's harder to mute the strings. It doesn't sound as musical, and it's not as fun to play. So that's the first riff, and then the second riff. So the cool thing is you can combine them, right? So here's a tab showing them all together. It sounds like this. One more time. Now, if you're going to repeat the riffs over and over and over again, this last note, as I have written in my PDF here, skip that note if you're going to repeat it, meaning it's going to sound like this. 2nd string, 10th fret. That's the second to last note. And then from here, we're going to start the whole thing again. Okay, so that is the first thing you could practice, is just those 2 riffs, back and forth. Do it slow, take your time. And when you get ready and you want to practice along with a backing track, you can do that. Now, so part 1 of this backing track is going to be 8 measures total. You can play the full riff twice. After that, you're going to go to part 2, which is just a long 16 measure break. During that, you could strum, you could just improvise, you could sort of pull out random notes from those chords. That's kind of what I'm going to do. But then after 16 measures, this repeats. And this goes on about 5 or 6 times. And I'll sort of walk you through it here. Let's listen to it and play along. And again, you can get this backing track at playsongnotes.com. When you press the play button, you're going to hear my voice counting in 2 measures. And then the first time I play part 1 in the backing track, you'll hear my riffs. But after that, the lead guitar is out of the backing track. So check it out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4. G, this is the D, 2, 3, 4, D, 2, 3, 4. Then we're here, then we're here, then we're here, then we're here, and then we move on to part 2. Okay, so we're on D, 2, 3, 4, E minor, 2, 3, 4, E minor, 2, 3, 4 to G. And you get the idea. G, then we're gonna do 2 measures of D, right? E minor to G. Now, then back to D. And after this, do the riffs again. Get ready. Here we go. E minor, G, E minor to G. Riff's coming up in a minute here. Back to D, 2, 3, 4. The riff's coming, ready, go. That slide, I didn't know it was going to work. I just tried it. That's what I'm talking about with these slides. Nope. There we go. That's a good note. Over E minor, then to G, to D. Here comes the riff. Keep going. It's fading out. Fading out. You You get the idea, though. Okay, so that backing track is available for you. PlaySongNotes.com. Patreon members, it's attached to the post on Patreon. You can download that MP3 and just keep it around and practice, right? And again, my printout for this lesson has the structure of the backing track. So, I hope this was helpful for you. More lessons in this series coming up. Every week or two, I want to do one. Show you these little things, these little discoveries I'm making, and show you what I'm practicing to get better, right? This sliding thing has really helped me out as far as making things seem musical, which otherwise just feel like rote, boring chord practice. Practice has its place. I'm not putting down practice, but you want to sort of unlock those. That sliding is just so fun to do. So anyway, this is it. Check out the song 14 Gears by Midland too. You can sort of hear these riffs in context. It sounds great. But take care, my friends. I'll see you in the next one, and bye-bye.